Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Threatened Ganglia Vodcast for episode 9 of Star Trek Discovery Into the Woods I Go. Sorry, we had little bits of problem there getting going tonight, so that's why we switched over to Twitch. But tonight we're going to see how many jumps it takes to get to the center of a scientist's brain.
133, crunch.
One up David Caruso in CSI Miami and walk away from space explosions.
Sorry. Get tantalizingly close to exposing 2 fan theories while not really giving up anything useful.
Arrgh. Anywho, so it was a hell of a week on the show, huh?
It was nail-bitingly interesting.
Yeah, so we're going to change things up just a little bit this week because there's 2 big fan theories that are out there that we wanted to discuss, and we didn't want to have to keep going back and saying, oh, we'll discuss that at the end in our Black Alert section. Oh, we'll discuss that at the end. So what we're going to do is right up front at the beginning of the show, we're going to do a deep dive into those 2 theories, and then at the end of the show, we're actually going to do some recapping. So if you're here live in the room with us and you don't want to know about theories, I don't really know why you're watching because this is fun stuff and awesome. Don't get out. Stay.
Enjoy the theories.
Yes, enjoy the theories. Just like try not to listen too intently if you really don't want to be spoiled. But I don't know what I'm saying. So, and at the end, like I said, we're going to talk more about more of the little general things that weren't theory specific in this episode that we loved. But before we really got going, we wanted to remind you that on the 19th, this upcoming Sunday at just about 9 o'clock, when Discovery would normally drop a new episode, we are doing a vodcast about the new Star Trek book.
Yes, the Star Trek Discovery book, Desperate Hours. I read it and I liked it. It read very much like a one episode of the show.
Okay,
and
very
so
good.
I think that it would be very enjoyable if you, like me, are a quick reader and you want to quickly read it before we start talking about it on Sunday. That's good. If not, if you want to listen and kind of be spoiled, but then say, "Hey, I want to read that for myself," come along. If you don't want to read it at all, definitely come along.
Yeah, then you can just get a recap of the book. On Sunday, this first episode that we have is going to be just like a general overview and just something to try and whet your appetite to hopefully entice you maybe to go out and buy the book and follow along. And then hopefully we're going to have 2 episodes during the break. We don't really know exactly when those are going to happen, but I figure with the holidays and all, we don't want to do more than 2. Since it's in there, one doing the general overall summary of the book and another one to do a couple different deep dives into specific aspects.
Yeah,
and,
especially with the characters that we are already familiar with.
Cool.
They kind of flesh out our beloved characters already.
And one more thing that we want to let you guys know about is that on at a minimum on the 28th of November this month, we're going to be starting a Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. vodcast. We don't have a catchy name for that, not like Threatened Ganglia here, but I've started to try and think of something good. Don't suggest something right now because it's going to be dumb, whatever you say. I love you, but you know it's true.
Come on.
Anyway.
Agents in space.
Yeah, that is this season. So that Tuesday night, we're going to try and stick with Tuesday nights being our live broadcast if YouTube fixes whatever it is that they did wrong. So that Tuesday, we're going to do, at the beginning, a short spoiler-free recap of the series so far. So in case you're one of those crazy people that likes binge watching, you can maybe catch up. It's only been 4 seasons, lots of episodes each season, but some people do that kind of thing. And so if it whets your appetite and you are really excited about it, then that's great. You can catch at least the first 3 seasons, I think, on Netflix, if you have one of those subscriptions for free.
Especially now that we're in a mid-season break for most of the shows. So
yeah.
You're looking for shows. You finish Stranger Things, you're going to finish Punisher real fast, and you're looking for shows. This is a good show to do.
Yeah. And then after that spoiler-free recap, we're also going to talk about a couple of our spoiler-filled favorite parts of the series thus far. Cool. All right.
Cool. I'm Christina, by the way, and that's my husband, Adam.
We didn't introduce ourselves?
Nope.
Yeah, see,
We dove right into it because we are excited.
well, we're excited, and plus we had technical difficulties.
Yes.
We were trying to get up on the YouTubes, and they rebuffed our merriment tonight.
That's cool.
But
We'll still be
see.
merry.
Well, yeah. All right. So, like I said, we were going to start with a couple fan theories. And the first one, my lovely wife is going to hit on.
I get to go first.
You do?
I can't scroll down in our document. Oh, wait,
Can't.
here we go.
Oh, no.
My computer
Geez, it would
is
sure be a shame
slow.
if someone went and deleted everything while you were trying to talk.
That would be so sad.
Hmm.
Okay. We're now entering what I like to call Voktalk. Voktalk. The fan theory that I'm addressing is that Ash Tyler is a sleeper agent, formerly known as the Klingon Vok. And this is the reasoning that we have thus far. Last time we saw Vok, he was stranded on the Shenzhou, and L'Rell says, we got to plan big, and you have to give up everything to achieve your goals, and I mean everything. And everything can indeed include up to your identity, your race, and perhaps even your memory. We then meet Ash Tyler on board a Klingon prison ship, and he's looking pretty good for having been on board a Klingon prison ship for 7 months. 7 months, you say? He says the wardeness pays him special attention so he doesn't get the regular attentions of the guards. But who is this wardeness? None other than Vok's own dewy-eyed L'Rell. But wait! She was totally giving him dewy eyes in the beginning of the series when they were talking over, when they were pulling out the Shenzhous.
Yeah,
matter thing.
When she looked up at him early in the series and said, "Should I decouple? Should we decouple?"
Should we
it's
decouple?
like I didn't even realize that came in there. Well,
Yes.
Oops.
She was dewy-eyed.
And it was really wardess. They used the phrase wardess, or is that just
Wardeness? No,
wardeness?
I
very nice.
I
I like
coined
it.
that word for our purposes.
I like it.
But wait, she was trapped on a listless ship of the dead with Vok for 6 months. How could she be in 2 places at once? She could not, I have posited, and much of the internet has posited with me. And the reason we, and definitely I think that, and I don't just think, I know this is true. They've done I think a fantastic job. I'm going to go off script. They've done a fantastic job, I think.
Hold on tight.
Buckle in. Of playing into in the age of the internet, it's always so hard to keep secrets sometimes, and I think they've done a very good job of playing into everyone's need to be an internet detective and to trying to figure things out. And I think that it has been kind of fun. I mean, some people I think have read into the shows as not having enough character development or enough knowledge of why the characters are doing what they're doing, but I think the characters are doing what they're doing because there's this big secret, and I think that's kind of tantalizing. I think that is titillating. That's the word I want. Titillating. That's a fun word.
You had to use that word this week after what happened this week on the show.
Exactly. And so the reason I think that Vok is Ash is a sleeper is because Vok. We do podcasts.
Yeah.
Vok was way too clunky. I was gonna say a human being, way too clunky, a Klingon, a character to be the smooth spy, getting the ladies to fall in love with him, and then injecting himself into the right places in the crew. He definitely is not a 007. So I think that they had to wipe his memory and implant him with someone's memories, and I do think that Ash Tyler was probably a real person, a real Starfleet officer who they had picked up at the Battle of the Binary Stars and said, "Hey, you'll do." And so that's that, and then that brings us into these PTSD flashes in this most recent episode that I think we are seeing Ash have these flashes of the procedure of because there was a lot of worrying and scared looking Ash, but if he really had avoided torture, then he probably shouldn't have had those memories. which I think is, he seemed to have been suffering from what he is communicating to Burnham as being sexually assaulted, and those flashes seem to have some sort of more medical procedure-y type thing.
Well,
and I'm
did.
sure it wasn't anything nice, because I'm sure the Klingons didn't go out of their way to make the process of stripping you of an identity and giving you another one to be, pleasant. There probably wasn't like yoga music and fluffy pillows. I'm sure it involved whirring, mechanical instruments.
Yeah, no, but now playing devil's advocate, though, I mean, you got to figure that Tyler doesn't immediately jump to, hey, let me be your sex slave. He probably got tortured a little bit at the beginning and was like, this ain't any fun. So maybe those were his...
I wouldn't... Yeah, I wouldn't dismiss that.
I just don't want the viewers
reasoning.
to think that when we like don't critically look at our own theories.
Yes,
we realize that.
No, but I truly believe that my theory is correct. And then when they get done with their mission in this last one, and he has his dream, and we see the flash of the it could be a rape scene or a love scene. Although, side note, I really kind of imagine. Not that I imagine Klingon sex a lot.
She slipped up there,
I
folks.
caught that.
No, you didn't.
Not that I do.
All of Twitch knows
but
the
I would imagine that Klingon sex would not involve so many sheets. Like, they seem to have a lot of sheet, like, covering them. Like, I just don't see Klingon sex being
There was
like,
no sheet covering her.
When she got up, there would have been any, but there was like definitely a sheet like covering them, and you just saw like arms and legs in the beginning, and I just don't feel like.
Were they supposed to be on a barrel of extra parts in the engine room? Come on.
No, but I still would have imagined like, I mean, maybe like a bed of pointy throw pillows. I don't know. But yeah, so I mean that is what we saw, and I also, as someone, in other things, any other content that we watched, movies and whatnot, sometimes when someone has their memories replaced or they're struggling with remembering something that was very traumatic, they remember something differently.
Yeah.
And the show presents us with what they first remember, and then like maybe we'll see those scenes represented again, but instead of like, especially the love scene, if it wasn't a rape scene, maybe we'll actually see Vok and L'Rell coupling, and not Ash, and that he conflouted. There's a word there, and I'm not pulling it out correctly.
Where he mixed the two together.
Yes, he mixed the two together. Him, having sex with L'Rell and
we have
becoming Ash Tyler.
podcasts because we know how to use words.
We talk good.
We're not just pretty.
Definitely not. We be smart. So that I think that I think I have one more point. Yes. L'Rell also, I think, gives us I can't see how much of that.
I was off camera. Shut up.
Did you turn the camera off to
I
see
did.
that?
I gave you a live stream so you can see. Oh no.
If only you could have seen what I was watching. Or not. L'Rell, especially in the last episode when she was working with Cornwall to get off Cole's ship to get on the Discovery, like specifically she was aiming to get on the Discovery. I don't feel like the vibe I wasn't getting was this like uber controlling abuser torturer, which I've seen in other characters where they just like once their plan starts to go to shit, they just start to completely go down the rabbit hole of following the person that they've been controlling because it's the last thing they can control.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I get that vibe from L'Rell. I feel like L'Rell...
No, she's happy to be where she is now.
Well, I mean, at the end of this episode, I'm talking about the episode before when she was trying to work with Cornwall to get on the Discovery.
Oh, okay.
The vibe then definitely wasn't the abuser torturer trying to track down her subject or her her mark. And then definitely through the end of this last episode, I mean, it was more like a lover/handler who needed to get next to their subject to, make sure that everything is going according to plan. Especially with the line that she said, I won't let them hurt you. Aww. And, I mean, while that also can be said by someone who is a control freak and to get them, more of a Stockholm syndrome type thing. I just don't think that's how it's reading to me. I truly believe, as I stated at the beginning, that Ash Tyler is a sleeper agent and used to be the Klingon, formerly known as Valk.
Yeah, and when this episode started and they were doing the previously ons on Discovery and they were reminding us, I can't even remember exactly what bit it was that they reminded us about.
I've been on this ship for 7 months.
Yeah.
I mean, they reminded us that the timeline isn't right. It can't have been right. She could have been there at 3 weeks max. And there was some time that she had to get Valk back to her family to go through whatever the process was to become Ash Tyler.
A couple hours. It's an outpatient treatment.
It's I don't know. Did you see the medical equipment they were using? It looked pretty intense.
Well, yeah, that's how they get it done in a day.
True.
Insurance only covered it for so long.
I'm sure they have a salve or a balm that just kind of heals everything quickly. A balm.
All right.
So that is the number one, I think, fan theory that's been flying through the interwebs, and I wholeheartedly believe that is what the show is doing.
Yeah, that.
And I think they're doing it pretty well. I kind of think they are.
Now, both for your theory that you just discussed, and my theory that I'm about to discuss, I do think that they're doing a good job of putting the ideas out there and feeding us breadcrumbs, but I think that they're trying to be a little bit too cute with how much they're hiding it. Like I don't think that they're giving viewers enough of a chance. And of course, let me take this moment to say we could be wrong. She could be wrong about hers. Well, it's our theory. No, well, that's right, honey. I'm sorry, I forgot. That the Valk theory could be wrong. The theory I'm about to discuss could be wrong. I like looking too deeply into things. I'm not right all the time, but part of the fun I have is trying to come up with these nifty theories and piece them all together and make them where they could possibly happen. Someone could see how Valk could be Tyler, so it's not the most outlandish thing in the world. Anyway, so I'm gonna hit this little thing right here because I'm trying to alternate between the cool spore jump video that we got there and the little images that you're seeing down there in the bottom corner, unless you're listening to the podcast, in which case you don't know what the hell I'm talking about right now, and hopefully I'll remember at about minute 26 to cut this part out. Anyway, so the theory that I'm going to jump in and discuss now is the theory that's going around that Captain Gabriel Lorca that we have been seeing on this show is not the Gabriel Lorca from our universe. That he is an alternate reality, most likely maybe even the Mirror Mirror universe Lorca. Of course, the lesser theories with Lorca, everyone knows that something is up with Lorca. He's not the usual Starfleet captain. A lot of it could just be PTSD, or I hear the new phrase is PTSS because it's a syndrome and not a disorder. So I don't mean to offend anyone if I say PTSD at some point.
It was PTSD for a long time.
Yeah.
And we should just all go back to calling it shell shock.
Didn't she even use it didn't the
she
Admiral?
said PTSD.
Yeah, she said. All right,
so I don't. Maybe they haven't.
So I'm just being canon to the show. So there's some people that are saying that he's merely suffering from that, having his ship blown up and him having to kill all the people that he was commanded before. There's also a big camp that Lorca's just an asshole and he does what he wants and he wants to kill as many Klingons as he can and be on the coolest ship, which, hey, then he's just one of those characters that we've seen in Star Trek before, but they're not one of the ones that we would normally follow around and wouldn't be the weekly focus. But I really do believe that he is from the Mirror Universe. So how did he get here, you might say? Because we don't have any knowledge of anything that happened that would bring him through. Oh, but we do. We know that his ship was destroyed in a battle at some point. And much like the Enterprise C, how the Enterprise C, yesterday's Enterprise? Was it yesterday's Enterprise? Really? Anyway.
Yeah.
Yesterday's Enterprise came through from the destruction and all the weapons going off, and it got pushed through. Granted, that one got pushed through time, but who the hell can't say that you can't push through dimensions too?
Dimensions, come on.
It's
all relative.
Yeah. Zing. And come on, really now, who hears of a captain being the only person that survives the destruction of his ship? And especially the Lorca that we know, I don't really see a way that he would escape and leave the rest of his crew to die. He would be there on the bridge. He would go down with the ship.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Down on a blaze of glory.
I just don't see that. So now, if we're going under the assumption that yes, he is from the mirror universe, he has two objectives. One objective, and hopefully his main goal, is to get himself back home. And how's he going to do that? I don't know. Maybe with this ship that can pierce dimensions. He hears about this ship that they're using that is kind of using some kind of new drive system that can blip you to different places. He figures, oh, maybe there's a chance of that. Hey, can I take on that science vessel? Oh, why do you want a science vessel? You're a big war guy and all. It's okay. I'm trying to expand my horizons. His second option that he can do while he's here is what he was most likely doing in the other universe, is trying to get as powerful as he possibly can here and amass as many followers and people loyal to him so he can secure his power base. And if you think about it, that's really what he's been doing with when he went out and he got rescued with Tyler, and then he brought Tyler into his circle and he brought Burnham into his circle. These are people that he can depend on. And when he went and rescued Sarek for Burnham, that was his way of ingratiating himself to them, and so forming a super bond of loyalty with them. And in other ways of getting more powerful here, he's got a super sciencey ship that can do that jumping shit. So that's pretty cool. And using that ship, he can become a war hero, which would make the general public like him. And that ship is just pretty awesome, and it's the crux of his reason what he's doing what he is now. And hearkening back to what I like to term the Cornwell interlude, she called him psychotic at the end of that, like we all remember, and she should know she's a mental health specialist. Everyone that other timeline is a piece of shit, so that kind of falls into place. It's one thing that was mentioned just in passing when they started drinking, when he put the moves on her, and he didn't remember a specific time that she brought up that they killed off a bottle of whiskey together, and he just kind of glanced it off and it went by. But that's another subtle little hint that the writers may be being cute about dropping, and like a teeny tiny breadcrumb out there, or it could just be he has a bad memory because he's all jacked up on PTSD. That sounded weird.
But anyway, like the new drug the kids are doing.
Yeah. And then of course there's the obvious non-rescue of Admiral Booty Call at the end of that episode. And sure, it made him look like he was trying to do the right thing by following orders, or at least not going off half-cocked to try and rescue her. But if Cornwell never came back, then all the better. And this episode, in my eyes, and Christina's too, because we were both commenting on it during the thing, he was at peak Lorca.
He had reached peak Lorca.
He really did. Because on the War Hero power grab tip, he knows that if he's able to destroy that ship of the dead, it's going to go a long way to cementing his legacy over here. And he knows where the ship is, and he knows that it doesn't have any support ships with it. So it's a one-on-one fight. It's the most even thing he's going to be able to find, beyond having other ships with him, and no one ever wants to go anywhere with him because they just can't follow. And he foists upon his science team a job to complete in 3 hours that the best minds in the Federation have had at least a couple weeks here to try and work on. And so you wouldn't really think that it would be a thing that they would be able to accomplish. But since he's gotten people that are so loyal to him, and also something I'm about to mention in a second, in fact, I'm going to jump right into it right now. Every other time Lorca has gone against orders from Starfleet, he's been in his ready room talking with that admiral in private and saying like, no, you know what? I think I'm going to go rescue Sarek. Who cares? Boop. And he plucks out the card, which was a good call, by the way. I don't know if I ever mentioned it, that when he went to rescue Sarek, he did pull out a card like they used to have in the original series. They would pop little cards in, when they were doing stuff. But
3 1/4, right?
yeah. But I don't want to get too far off the thing. So all the other times he was always in the ready room. This time, when he's talking with the admiral, he knows that the admiral's going to order him back. The admiral's not going to want to risk the spore drive getting destroyed by the Klingons. So since he knows he's going to get ordered back, and Lorca doesn't want to go back, Lorca has this discussion on his bridge in front of full view of all his bridge crew. And he's making an impassioned defense for the Pavans and saying it's not right. We're not going to let these Klingons do this, kill these innocent beings. You don't want to order us back. But, of course, the Admiral puts his foot down, and Lorca tells him
Does he really? I do kind of feel a little bit like Admiral Vulcan was like, this guy's not going to do what I want him to do.
Well, yeah, because...
he's like, this is illogical, but... whatever.
Well, he did what he had to do. What he could do. He gave him a direct order.
I feel like he was just kind of like, I got to put this down. I got to say this out loud.
Yeah, it could have been.
It's the logical thing to do to CYA.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's definitely that. There seems to be a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
So that was all theater for the bridge crew in my eyes, because that helped get them on board for this mission of defending the Pavans at the risk of getting blown up by the Klingons. And also, hey, if this found a way for them to be able to defeat the cloaking device, then he'd be the hero of the war, and that ups his cred big time. And then we move on to the expert job he did with Stamets in this episode.
Dude.
I mean, he played him like a fiddle marionette.
Yes.
It was ridiculous.
Did you just say a fiddle marionette?
A fiddle marionette. Yeah, you played someone like a fiddle and you control them like a marionette, and he did both at the same time.
All I can see is like one of those marionettes trying to play a fiddle. You know how the bow never sits on the fiddle, and they're like,
well, if it works. So there were a great many different things at play. The first thing is that he exposed to Stamets that he had been collecting data on these multiverses, other universes, and maybe even time pockets and all. There was a lot of science in there. It kind of went over my head. But he showed him that all the great exploring they can do after this war is over. And he even got Stamets to say, Captain, I didn't know that you cared. And in my head, I just heard Nelson from The Simpsons. He got you to say it.
He doesn't.
And I am sure that now they explained that they had to go and put those 2 sensors on the ship to get these readings. And under normal circumstances, it would take 5 days to get enough readings for everything. And I'm like, that if they inverse a tachyon beam or 2 and maybe fly around the ship really quick, they could have had the same effect.
Come on. Tachyon beams was clearly the Next Generation.
Well, all right.
That was the answer for the Next Generation.
Deflector dish? That was Next Generation
that
too.
That was a lot of Next Generation.
I'm not too up on original series stuff.
MacGuffins. I don't know what they did.
I think they always just dump more power into it. That's what Scotty always asked for.
I'm pretty sure they just called the engine room and was like, you got to get it done. And he was like, okay.
But anyway.
Schwartz into the reactor again.
Oh, no. All right, hold on. We're diverting from the thing there. Man, my theory's so much longer. It's just terrible.
But I saw your notes and I was like,
I'm sorry, but the more I thought about it, the more verbose I got.
The more I thought about it, I'm like, his topic is really... Because it... And I know that I'm moving to the side for a second, but... Not only is this character, I think, very well written. Again, some people I don't feel like get what's happening on the show, because clearly it's happening. The end of this episode showed us that it's
clearly,
happening. But something is happening.
There's something unusual going on.
Something is up with him. And he does have motivations, and we're just not privy to them all, as I don't want to be. I want to be in the dark about some things.
Well, but there's a certain point that comes when you don't want to be in the dark anymore. And I think that they're getting perilously close to tipping that. Like there needs to be some reveals quickly on the backside of this.
Yes. Oh gosh, excuse me.
Oh, sorry everyone.
No, sorry, you're keeping me up.
Oh.
No, it's all good.
Wah, wah.
2 kids are hard people. I love Jason Isaacs in this role so much, and I said this the other night. I thought when I heard his announcement as being on the show, I was like, because I've just watched him for years be
Bad guy.
Yeah,
Super bad guy.
be Malfoy, be Lucius Malfoy, and then before that it was in the Patriot. It was like all I knew of him was British bad guy, like British evil guy. So I didn't know what to expect, and he came on screen. He's got this wonderful American accent, and he just blends. He blends into this role, and I think he does that in a lot of his roles. And I just didn't really notice until not only did I see him in this one, but then went and looked up other stuff he's been in. It's like I didn't even realize he was in it because he's one of those actors.
Yeah,
he just becomes it. He embodies it, and he is doing a phenomenal job, and that's why I think it's fascinating, and I am on the edge of my seat to find out what happens next. But yeah, he is the master manipulator, and it's like every time we saw something happen, someone talking to him, and especially when they tell him something, they reveal something about what they're thinking. It's like, no, don't do that. But I won't go farther because it's going to lead into your theory.
Yeah. So getting back to Stamets being played like a fiddle marionette. They could have. I'm confident that they could have figured out another different way beyond doing 133 jumps to figure all this out. But Lorca needed the data from all those jumps to be able to help him find a way back to his own dimension, universe, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
So that's why I really feel that he found a way to make that happen during those jumps.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at the end of the episode, after the dramatic conclusion, Lorca knows that there's a chance when he gets back to the starbase that Admiral Vulcan and Admiral Booty Call are there, and they're going to take away his ship. What should I do? I know, one more jump, but my navigator almost died. How can I dupe this sucker? Hey, Mr. Science Dude, do you want a shiny medal? Yeah, we'll give you some honors. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And I know. I'll use the words opened up endless possibilities of exploration. Yeah, he'll buy that. Oh, what's that? I got him. He agreed to do this last jump? Yes. I know. Oh, he says this is the last jump. So my initial plan of just jumping us somewhere far away and studying this thing won't fly. So I guess I got to risk it all, and we need to override the last jump set to go to Starbase 46, and instead go to the unknown. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
I've got graphics later on when we're talking about the episode about how he overrode the last jump. But so
when Stamets told him this is the last one, I'm done, it was like, no.
He told him that. He turned around and they were walking out. I don't know if you remember what we said. I screamed, Lorca's going to shoot you in the back. Don't do it.
Metaphorically, but with your brain.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible.
I mean, just as soon as he said it, and you could just tell he had, like, Stamets had just reached that place of resolution that no character should ever reach.
Yeah.
Like, because once you look, and then he went back and he that tender embrace that we had seen in a picture before the episode came out between him and Space Boo, and
Space Boo,
Dr. Culber. And then me and every other rent nerd in the world went, when he said, I'm going to take you to La Boheme, because Anthony Rapp and I cannot remember Dr. Culber's actor's name.
Wilson Cruz,
I believe. They both had roles, but Anthony Rapp originated one of the lead roles.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all were like, that's awesome. And then explained it to the non-Broadway people. And like, as soon as they reached that wonderful, this is going to be our denouement, it was like,
Yeah. Not only did he tell Lorca in the shuttle bay, that shuttle bay shot, by the way, was awesome. When they were sitting there discussing it, that view out the doors.
Yeah, that was good.
He told Lorca that, hey, this is going to be my last jump. A few seconds later, we see him go into where the spore drive is until Space Boo. All the way walking through the halls of the thing, every single person he passed by, he said, hey, we're going to do one more jump. Hey, one more jump. The guy that's jogging down the hallway, that like they have joggers down the hallway in every episode. On your left, oh, one more jump. So,
last jump,
right.
Last jump.
So
he sang on his way to the chamber.
So there's one more thing. I think I laid out all the different reasons why I think that Lorca is from the alternate universe, and I know that we're going along with this, so I'll try and hit this one really quick, because this one is really me reaching really, really far for something. But I think that there's a good chance of something being there. there's definitely something there with Burnham and Lorca, and Burnham is important to Lorca in some way beyond just having a good crew member
Oh yeah.
on his ship. But we're not 100% sure exactly what it is. And it's odd because he goes through a lot to get her onto the ship. He reroutes that shuttle. He gets it onto the ship, and he gets a mission run while she's supposed to be there, and the like shuttle's getting retrofitted or whatever. So he runs her on that mission to the Glen to try and test her out to see if she's really like everything that he's heard of her, and if she's worth the trouble of trying to get onto the crew. And she passes that with flying colors.
I also would posit that was also something to convince the other crew members that she was there for a reason that they knew of. Because if he had just like squirreled her away and was like, I just, we're just gonna keep her. It's just it'll be fine. She's just here on the ship now, being the mutineer. I don't think that really would have flown. Like, it obviously wasn't gonna fly with Saru.
That's good, because that's not something I thought of.
Yeah, well, I think that goes into his manipulation of not just one-on-one, but an entire population. He had to show that this is why I kept her, because she's going to help us figure out this spore drive. She's going to help us, get this research completed. Whereas we know, we're pretty sure it's something else.
And he has definitely demonstrated planning things ahead, because this past week when he, as soon as he signed off with the Admiral and told his crew that, hey, yeah, don't worry, we're going back at warp, we're going back slow, so we have time to try and figure out something to do. He like immediately turns to Stamets and says, hey, wooden shoe sabotage, you can't work right, figure out a reason. He so immediately turned to him and said that it was that he knew he had a checklist of stuff in his head.
Exactly. Like, it was just like, okay, lie to Admiral, check. Give impassioned speech, check.
Yeah.
Tell Stamets I need a paper trail, check.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
There was no need for Stamets to be on the bridge during that scene. Like any other show, any other continuity thing, they would have had that discussion on the bridge, and then the captain would have sauntered down to Spore Drive Central and talked to Stamets and been like, hey, listen, I need your help with this, because we really got to do this. But by condensing it, by having them all there, it not only helped move the show along speedily, it also showed how quickly he was thinking about stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so we're stepping back there again. Oh, Burnham is definitely something important to him, and super important, because when they went on the Nebula shuttle ride mission to rescue Sarek, Lorca threatened Tyler, basically saying that, hey, if you can't come back with her, you probably shouldn't bother coming back at all. So that was a little bit weird. And then, based on the fact that he didn't want her to go to the Klingon ship in this episode, you might wonder, why did he let her go to Pavo on that mission? Well, that planet Pavo was uninhabited as far as they knew, and he was sending along with her the ship's security chief and the universe's second best warrior. I'm the first best, in case you were wondering. So he felt pretty safe that she was going to be okay, but a ship full of Klingons, while it's cloaked and we're going to be shooting at it, I don't think that's going to. That's probably not going to fly.
I just realized I am surprised there weren't more consequences for Saru for like donkey punching her or donkey kicking her in the chest.
Yeah, I'm still torn up about that, and I'm sure at some point during this break I'm going to put my thoughts together on that. But I really don't see how he can continue to serve with them, seeing that he's been willing to do that. I don't know if he had enough of a mea culpa at the end of that, but all right, we can't get distracted. We gotta stay on target. Yeah. All right. So now all of that, now that he is seeing light at the end of the tunnel for getting home, a possibility of a way for him to get home with his spore drive, and hey, if we're able to do these 133 jumps, I should have enough data to be able to do what I need to do. I think that she is super important to him in the alternate universe. And I've got 4 things to think about. We know that in the true mirror universe, humans are power hungry and they're super aggressive. which is something that Lorca has already demonstrated.
Check and check.
We know that in the mirror universe, murder and assassination is the way to rise your status in the Terran Empire, at least, where like the Enterprise was from, and wherever Lorca serves would be from. We know that here in this Prime universe, Michael killed Sokovia, and we also know that in the Prime universe here, a viable way of moving up in the Klingon command structure is to kill your superior officer. So I think that there's a chance that Michael Burnham is at least an important part of, or quite possibly, the leader of the Klingon Empire in the Mirror Universe. There, I said it.
What?
Yep. Yep.
What?
It could happen. It could be true.
That sounds crazy.
It does not sound any crazier than Hoshi being in charge of the friggin' Enterprise at the end of those ones. Okay? When I saw that happen, I was like, this show is done to me.
Dead.
Yeah.
Dead to me.
But now, granted, it doesn't make much sense, especially with how the Klingons roll, like Klingons for Klingons, yay. It doesn't make any sense how a human would be in charge of them. But, weird shit happens. But there's definitely something important to Michael Burnham in the alternate universe. I just took it to the extreme, like I tend to do with things sometimes.
I've been that you had shared that theory with me like 2 days ago or a day ago, and so I'm still ruminating on it. I'm seeing some other people posit other questions like, was Lorca from our universe and then the Prime universe, and we've actually been watching the Mirror universe this whole time, but that doesn't feel right, especially because one of the admirals that we've come to be close to was a psychologist.
Oh, you mean the whole Mirror?
Yeah, that we've been watching the Mirror universe, which I don't feel like it doesn't feel right. But I've been trying to figure out like what possible role could Burnham have, and the only other things like I've been thinking about what makes her so special in our Prime universe, which is she was raised on Vulcan. She had that connection with Sarek. I don't know if the Vulcans have become part of the Terran Empire, because in the original series, I mean, clearly Spock was on.
Yeah.
Evil Spock was evil Spock. Was on the Enterprise, so the Vulcans had been integrated in some fashion.
Yeah, you read one of the Mirror books in Next Generation time, right?
Yes.
Was the Vulcan Empire, were the Vulcans like one of the subjugated species? That look.
Ask me a question.
Nah, all right. That's some research for the hiatus. Anyway, all right. So I think that we've delved enough into those deep dark theories. Please, however you're consuming this bit of content, send us information. Adam, Christina, you're crazy because XYZ. 1, 2, 3. I think they're all Mirror Universe. Don't send us I hate this show because it's not real Star Trek.
No.
We don't care about those.
You can just
we only go through the effort of talking about these things that we like and enjoy and want to share more with more people.
Yes.
All right, so let's slide back on over and talk about things specific with this episode.
All right.
There was a lot.
There was a lot. I mean, not only did it feed into those two theories in wonderful
Big
ways,
time.
It was jam-packed. It had a lot of the same Star Trek stuff that I like. There was, they scienced the shit out of some stuff. There was cloaks and jumps, and it was thrilling. It was entertaining. It was every corner that they turned was like, and how they're gonna do this. It
was. I did have one of my biggest regrets about the episode was that there was no kind of revisit at all to Pavo. No, there was no. I could have used an emotional wrap up for Saru. I could have used Saru go down, telling them that we prevented the Klingons from destroying you, and hopefully there won't be other Klingons coming to destroy them.
Nah, because I think that Pavo was nothing but just a pawn, and that's how it was treated in the show.
Yeah.
I mean, that clearly the Federation was going to go and use this planet to try and detect the ships, and then when they really couldn't do that, then there really was no use for it, other than to Lorca to be able to hold it up as the reason that.
Yeah, I'm not saying
disobey
it was
this.
a pinnacle thing. I just would have liked 8 seconds of some kind of mention of it on the bridge. Saru thanking the captain for saving the Pavans.
Yeah,
I would have liked that.
you know what? I was missing something from Saru. I was missing something.
Brown chicken, brown cow?
No.
Okay.
Not that. I thought that Saru and Burnham were going to share. I mean, they did share a nod.
Oh my God, that scene at the end, we're jumping all over the place for the episode.
What else? But
the scene at the end where Saru nodded to her, and that scene was, the slow-mo on it was just a little too much for me. It was a little too syrupy sweet.
I don't know. I guess I thought there'd be a little more sharing of having Giorgio's badge.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought there'd be something else.
I
But
thought for
Pavo,
sure that...
honestly, whatevs. As soon as the ship of the dead was on its way in, I was like, cool, Pavo has done this job. Like, that was it. It was like it.
Yeah.
And I have this that it's not fully formed. It's a little inkling.
Well, it's good. Let's figure it out live
in the back of my. That's what this is for, right? That's what live streams are for. It's like a free form stream of consciousness.
Totally. Everyone loves that.
Because Lorca is so meticulous in this plan that he has. Everything was checkboxed. I feel like somehow he manipulated using Pavo to draw the ship of the dead
really
toward them. That's what I'm saying. It's not fully formed, and I can't remember. I'd have to go back and look again to see why they went to Pavo, who had discovered this planet.
I don't think that they were specific, but I personally got the vibe that it was the Admiralty.
Yeah.
Like, told him, hey, you got to go.
You got to go do this.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think you're trying too hard.
Probably.
That's just my personal.
But again, that's why I didn't need any resolution for Pavo. It was a little weird for me in the beginning, like in the whole excuse me, the whole sense of it. Just the whole thing about using this like planet's vibration to detect the Klingon warships. Like, the science of that had already kind of started to bother me. So when they just sent out this call to the Klingons, it was like, oh, cool. Let's see where this goes. And when it didn't go anywhere further with the Pavans, I was like, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, they... one other thing I feel about the show that I don't love is I feel like they're moving at a breakneck speed to do stuff. And I can understand... They have a story to tell. They only have 15 episodes in which to do it. So
it's not a book. Nothing is ever a book. A book can give you that level of detail. And no show or movie is ever going to do it because the medium is different. Without descriptive words to be able to kind of put those things in, that's why I just don't mind.
Yeah, but there's so much more that you can do with good actors in a well-written scene. That scene between Stamets and Space Boo,
Dr. Palmer.
That spoke so much and got so much point across of stuff, and it wasn't that long. It was like a minute. The way that the Doctor looked at Stamets for the rest of that, after he came in and kissed him, and the way that he was saying those words, it was just the way he was like, there should have been stars shooting out of his eyes and glitter flying everywhere. Should look like a Snapchat filter. It was great.
That's fantastic. Now I want someone to take that picture of him and put it in a Snapchat filter.
All right. I think
make it so.
We can probably do that.
Make it so.
I think we have that technology.
I think we do have.
It's not $6 million man shit here. All right, but yeah. So I don't know. But I do understand it, and especially if they're trying to get to tell the story of the theories that we have. If they're racing through to be able to resolve all that, then I'll be happy.
They confirm my theories. I don't care what they Pavin Schmavins. That's cool. Just tell me, Ash Tyler, fuck. You know it is.
Oh, yeah. One thing I forgot to mention before with the Lorca thing, that scar on his back that's in a triangle shape, and that triangle was in a agonizer shape from the friggin' Mirror universe. And if that turns out to be a thing, too, I'll be like, yes. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. All right, so where were we? We were talking about stuff. Oh,
yes.
we will be remiss. We kind of mentioned it at the opening about how badass Lorca is. That as he knew that they had the cloak thing, he gets up from his captain's chair and he starts strutting. He's getting really close up front to that screen, and he wants to see this. So he gets out his eye drops and bloop bloop.
Fire
bloop.
torpedoes.
I'm
Squirt, squirt,
I'm
squirt,
watching the hell out of this light show that's going on. And,
light her up.
And he really did turn around.
Oh man, that was the best part. He's like, let me put this thing in my eyes so I can watch this thing explode, and then I'm just gonna turn around.
Yeah, I'll just watch the beginning part of this.
Yeah, sunglasses.
You know, like he probably had the ship's internal sensors going. He's like, all right, if we fire right now, burn them entirely, we'll be walking in fire. He just scheduled everything perfectly.
Yeah.
There. All right, so Lorca is a badass there with that. What else do we have here? Let's take a second here and talk about how Lorca at the end of this mess overrode the destination for the spore drive.
Oh yeah.
Because that wasn't just a little thing. I have something here for that, but of course right now since I need it I can't find it. Oh no, there it is. Okay. All right, so that right there is the screen that shows. That doesn't look too big. Let me make that bigger. Boom. That shows navigation control that's on the captain's chair. And you can see down there at the bottom, it's talking about all the different jumps that went on. And then it says override Lorca G and then the next jump. Now, the one thing I don't understand, and I think this was just a little boo-boo that they did, they put the override on jump 133 when they've already completed 133 jumps to do the mapping. And you might say like us, because we're computer nerds, wouldn't it be great they started at 0? They started counting at 0 because that's what computer nerds and scientists do. But no, they didn't. We went back and looked and they started at 1.
Maybe I had this
here
thought
it comes.
later.
Here it comes, everyone. Hold on to your butts.
Little things. And I need to go back and watch. I wanted to watch exactly what he did. But I think what he did was he knew that he had to get in and put reprogram the spore drive. Like he told them, okay, black alert, we're jumping to Starbase 46. They did all the beep 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 beep, put in the destination, and he had to override that destination in like a split second. So he just went, grabbed jump 133, changed the destination, and went and overrode it and went. Well, so he copied and pasted the last one.
Yeah, but shouldn't it still be jump 134?
Just that makes sense.
And
maybe it was just
and if you want to know what he did, last night I might have spent an unreasonable amount of time replaying the scene where he hit the navigational control, this thing right here, and kept replaying it. And the first thing that I noticed is this spore jump coordinates thing is a 4x3 grid, and I'm like, well, why is it base 12? And then I'm looking at the picture. I'm like, does Lorca have the right number of fingers? Does he have 12 fingers, maybe? I don't know how he would
that.
What?
I think they would have noticed that.
You would think. Did anyone notice that James Doohan was missing a finger?
True. But he was only missing the top of his pinky.
I don't know. But and then it's driving me crazy why there's no K on this spore jump coordinates thing. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, L, M. What? Why is there no K? I cannot tell you the number of Google searches I did last night. No K in alphabets. No K. I didn't know until last night that there's no K in the Italian alphabet. Yeah. But there's also no either J or L. So it's like, oh, well, that's right out. It's not that. They're not in the whole universe of Italians. And I did so many different searches last night trying to figure out why there would be no K, why it would be base 12. I don't know. But it can be all just ordered away, poo-pooed away. It's just it's spore drive. It's mushrooms taking it different places. So it's not supposed to make sense. But I really hope that there's something there and not just someone screwed up the alphabet just like they screwed up the 133 jumps.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that that's it.
I would hope not. But
I would have done some sort of search on physics.
Oh, okay.
Physics search. Physics. I feel lucky.
Physics, I feel lucky. The little Microsoft paperclip pops up. It looks like you're trying to figure out travel between dimensions using mushrooms. Maybe I can help.
Using mushrooms. Maybe you should go back and take some more.
And just in case, I did watch that thing enough to know that he pushed FMECG.
FMECG.
Yes. And there's not really anything too good out there on the Googles about FMECG or any of that. Because I wasted a lot of time searching. It's 612537.
Okay.
I wrote it all down.
I bet you did.
I wrote it all down like after the 78th time I watched it.
What exactly I would have searched for is like, no K in space coordinates or in something like that. Like,
let's look through my search history, extract the porn, and I'll bet you'll find 17 different searches of that.
That's a lot of extraction you need to do.
Oh, no, come on. It's not that bad. Oh, and see, look, I even missed the, look, I had a nifty little graphic there for him taking his eyedroppers.
There are some times when I am watching a show and it's doing a phenomenal job of like leading me along. When the realization hit as to why he was doing his eyes at that moment, It was like, yes,
and
Lorca.
And that's something that would take us to get to like season 5.5 or 6 with Picard to know his character that in depth and that well. That there would be something about that. We definitely wouldn't know it halfway through season 1.
No. That's I'm saying that is why the character development on this show is superior.
Yeah.
As evidenced by our reaction to that.
So, and you may or may not know out there in the universe, but this right here, the Soon with the cat's eyes poking up over the thing, is one of my favorite memes ever. And so now I can add this image to it. It's the last words Laurel spoke in this episode. Soon. So now I have multiple memes there with that. Did we have anything else drop soon? Nope. All right. Nope. That's it.
I had something else that I wanted to pick on this episode about.
Oh, we got lots more stuff to pick on. I just wanted to jump onto the pictures. Go for it.
Oh, for the pictures. Okay.
Uh-oh. Look, you sounded like you were all ready.
I was ready, and then
all
I
right.
scrolled, and then something happened.
Okay.
So, apparently mental health in the 23rd century is even worse than ours now.
Well,
because after practicing eugenics on himself by Stamets injects himself with the alien tardigrade DNA, and then clearly suffers from a major personality shift.
What? Just hugging his compatriots in the hallways?
It's okay, man.
Yeah, man.
It's all good.
Oh, you knocked all my stuff down? It's okay.
Because these chance interactions are what life's all about.
These were toxic samples that my doctor boyfriend were taking around. It's okay.
No one conducted a brain scan or any other scan. Like, no one was monitoring his vital signs on a daily basis. He had alien DNA in him.
Well, all right.
That is, like, of all the things, because I really will, I will shuffle off a lot of different things because it's telling a great story. But I mean, come on, man.
All right, but we don't know at what level diagnostic the white matter scan falls into. Maybe that's like the
Doesn't matter.
Super robust
alien DNA. No, because you super robust every day. Alien DNA
every day
after every jump.
Then he's not going to be strong enough to be able to jump when they need to go and
what
protect
do you mean strong
little...
enough? They're just doing tests.
Well, the tests look vigorous.
And I can't tell you how much I love Stamets' face. When Lorca was sending him down to get tests. Go down and get me a paper trail. Can't we just forge the paper trail? I mean, we're already lying to Admiralty. Can't we just tell them we did tests? And then he gets down there and he's sitting. I mean, he looks like the little boy. He's on the edge of the table. Oh, shucks. And Culber's like, yeah, white matter is different. This can't be good.
Yeah, it's coming out your ears for some reason.
Yeah, and Lorca's just like, I didn't really want anything wrong, but just send me the report. Send me the report. Me. and I'll make sure I read it.
Send it to me.
And he asked Stamets, "Do you have any side effects?" No, I haven't had any side effects. No.
He sneezes and mushroom pops out of his head. It's just a giant mushroom.
Just come flying out.
Yeah.
Of his head. Oh, that imagery is fantastic. Turns into Toad from Mario.
Nice.
Yeah, that feels like such a big oversight. But I do understand it allowed them to tell this story that way and to have Culber, have realizations in the way he does. But I mean, I just feel like as soon as he's hugging people in the hallway, you're not like, let's go back to sickbay. I want a couple tests.
Well, then again, that hugging in the hallway never really happened. So maybe that was his most hippy-dippy moment, and it never really happened. Have we seen him be super hippy-dippy aside from that? Aha.
Oh, nuts.
Yes.
Oh, nuts.
Logic. Sorry, blowing out the mics. All right,
That's a good question. I really want to go back and watch the timeline of that, because maybe his hippiest was during the loops. And
like that, yeah, maybe. And then he could have just pawned it off on the loops. I was drunk from knowing too much.
When did she run into? That was the Gormagander.
That was that was the first time through he was serious, and then he sobered up quick when he realized.
Yeah, and that was inside.
Something's not right.
That was inside the loop.
Yeah.
Although you got to think that 5 minutes before that, before the loop started, he still wasn't down to earth. Grouchy Stamets.
Oh,
but yeah, I mean, there were signs there, and beyond that. He was practicing eugenics, which was illegal, and clearly he needed to be under some sort of observation.
Yeah.
And it's not like Starfleet didn't know.
Didn't know that he had done it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, clearly, and he was afraid of saying that I'm having side effects, that he was going to be pulled off to some lab. But it's like, nah, I'm pretty sure Lorca would have made sure you had to stay on the ship to run the spore drive. So why wasn't Starfleet saying we want regular reports? Like, so that at least Culber was...
Maybe they were, and those broadcasts were getting lost.
True. Maybe Lorca was like, yeah, here are the reports. I'm losing you.
I'm sorry. But then again, why would he force Stamets to go for tests now?
Yeah, if he was forging other ones. So, that one is kind of my biggest, but I will forgive it because I'm clearly entertained. Because he put eye drops in to watch an explosion. Like that... Things like that I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever, Star Trek Discovery. I love you.
Yeah, but we'll give you some sideways stuff.
Yep.
So, all right. Now, we both clearly believe in the Vodcast Tyler theory, but even if that turns out not to be true... Impossible. But I think what they did with the Tyler and PTSS, was really well handled. Not that I would know how any of that is, but I mean, it got to me while I was watching it. I was feeling for the guy, and he was doing a good job of seeming to have a breakdown. And the scenes where everyone lost their freaking minds because we saw Klingon titty didn't fit right there. And people are up in arms saying that, oh, I can't watch this Star Trek with my kid because you guys showed a bare breast. And it's like, no, you can't show this to a kid because the guy's talking about he sold his body out so he would not get killed. I mean,
there are more adult. I mean, clearly, they've also already dropped the F-bomb, depending on your level of censorship for kids. And also, they tackled some pretty adult things, like PTSD and rape and those are not light subjects, and torture.
Yeah,
those are not light subjects. So no, I don't think. Yeah, I do love when they get fixated on one thing. And I mean,
who's they? The fans or
anyone?
Oh, okay.
They, the nebulous they. Yeah, and when they get fixated on like, you showed a titty, it's like, yes, but they were showing it during a maybe rape scene. I mean, like that's kind of the bigger thing.
Yeah, and
right?
it was on screen for all of like maybe 0.8 seconds.
Yeah, and it was an alien titty. I mean, it's not like she had 3.
Well, I
That's
wasn't
another
looking
movie.
that close.
It's another movie. Yeah, no, I always find the things that people get up in arms about, and I have actually read where that scene was probably superfluous, where he did such an excellent job talking to Burnham that first time when they got back to after the mission was done, and he like finally unbared his soul to her,
Yeah.
and explained why he had suffered so badly when he saw Laurel, and like they did an excellent job of showing a man being vulnerable, discussing past trauma and his reasoning, why he felt kind of guilty. And some people feel like they didn't need that superfluous scene of actually showing us like an incident of the assault. I think that if we go forward and we do get one of those like showing us that scene again with his actual memory intact, and it's not him as Tyler, it's him as Volk, then I would say that it was needed because you were going to see that transformation of him coming around to his memories.
I'd even buy it that happened after his transformation, and
he
Morel
didn't, and
just
he
wanted
still
to,
was like
to know what it was like to be with a human. But no matter what, I think that it really would have helped. See, this is going to sound sexist against men, but for the stereotypical man, I think that scene showing that actually helped him understand this mythical person I've got out there. Understand that a little bit more, because like sometimes like guys are more visceral and more image.
I would not disagree with that.
Yeah.
But
So.
yep, that's just discussions out on the interwebs.
Yeah. All right. Well, we talked about all that. So another thing that seems to have stuck in people's craw is that the sensors that they took onto the cloaked ship were big, and they flashed blue lights, and they
were
talked.
ridiculous.
They were pretty big.
They were ridiculous. Now, granted, they had like less than 3 hours to figure out all of this sciencey shit, and so but I mean,
so the best that they could do,
and word and talked. I mean, it was like
they got their Google Homes and they strapped in a couple extra sensors.
They could, short of popping out a multicolored disco ball, they could not have been more obnoxious.
Oos.
Welcome to the stage.
I mean, and it even did have like a Federation symbol on top of it,
were
the
labeled
Delta on
and
top
everything.
of it.
Like, couldn't they put
If
like
found,
gaff
please
tape over
return
the
to
top?
USS Discovery. Here's the Discovery's GPS coordinates.
Yeah. In fact, here's our shield frequency.
Nice.
Just beam it back to us when you
if
find
it. Our cargo bay is here. Now, don't beam it here. This is our weapons depot. Don't do that. This episode also, one big thing. Now, this is my natural pessimism, but I couldn't enjoy the destruction of the Klingon ship of the dead because I thought for sure this shit wasn't going to work. Because we still have a whole nother half of a season to go, and I thought
we're going to spend that half of a season in another dimension.
I don't think that they're going to do.
We had to be done. We're like, we gotta drop the mic on Prime Universe. We gotta go over here.
I think that they need to have like 3 episodes in that dimension of all the big reveals and them getting their way back here, 3 or 4 there, and then like the last 2 need to be here to wrap up the war. Because if you think about it, the war is kind of even-ish now, but the rest of the Federation, they never got that algorithm because they did that jump before 11 hours before they sent it to them. Even though they didn't send them on the encrypted channel, like, here's what we got now, so in case, we're blown the fuck up, you guys have something. We're going to go and refine it, make it perfect before we send it along to you. Oh, Jesus, these people, I swear.
They got a story to tell.
I don't know why they have to be so cryptic with stuff. Just the same way that the Glenn didn't tell the Discovery that, oh yeah, we're using this tardigrade thing.
Yeah.
To go around. No, we're gonna force you to beam aboard the ship. Look at our dead, wrecked bodies, and figure all this mess out. Oh, anyway, I do love this show, but just like kids, they give you agita
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
So they figured out a way to do all that. That one time that Michael got thrown by Cole and she like grabbed her chest, I was like, oh, that's the spot where Saru kicked her like 6 hours
Like a
ago.
day ago, yeah.
It really was quick because like the scenes of her on the bridge, her and Tyler on the bridge at the beginning when the Admiral's talking. At least,
That's right, because the Pavin sent out a signal. Like
Yeah.
they had just beamed up.
they
From
sent
the
out a signal.
planet.
They still had their like dirty clothes on from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, all that mess happened really quick.
Yeah, what was Saru doing on the bridge then? Like, he definitely should have had at least a day off. He should have just been like, take a day, go.
Yeah, it could. Well, he got checked out in sick bay.
Yeah.
They said everything's fine. Your white matter's fine. Get up there.
That's true. They don't have some sort of mental health check on this ship.
Yeah.
Because they were just like, you're physically fine. Get back in there.
Do you have the same number of arms and legs before you beam down? Yes. All right. Back
Done
in
and
there.
done. Get back in there.
And although it looked awesome when Burnham jumped away from Cole after ripping Georgiou's badge off of him, I thought it would have been great if she like hugged him and beamed Cole on board too, because he would have been a great bargaining chip.
Would he, though?
I
would
mean-
think that the Klingons would have respected his destruction more than his capture.
Oh, and so they look
Like
at the
bargaining for
Federation
who?
better that he killed him, that they killed him? Ah,
Yeah.
all right. I did not think about that. Well, just the same way they were going to go and try and capture Takuvma for a bargaining chip. Like,
Oh, yeah.
they still had that.
Yeah, but Takuvma was their messiah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they knew it would have been worse to kill him and make him a martyr
Yeah,
than
that's
to
true.
capture him, whereas Cole was just this, like...
Handing out tech to everyone.
Yeah. Cole was he was doing a more old-fashioned power grab.
Word. And just the last thing I wanted to mention for tonight is that with this episode, and especially with how I was not able to quite enjoy it as much because I thought it was going to fail, but I do see now how the prologue, those first two episodes, what was essentially the prologue to the show, was definitely necessary to give us the emotional closure for this, so that it didn't make that slow-mo scene at the end when Burnham came back all bloody and the ship was exploding. It definitely gave that way more impact than if they had just started the series at episode 3. So one of the things I always say, don't judge things too early. Like, look at the whole picture that they're trying to present to you.
Yeah.
Especially for something that's a serialized version. So
I mean, it wasn't even just... I mean, definitely for this episode it was necessary because she killed Takuvma, but I mean, her entire relationship with Saru is based on what happened in those two episodes. Her reasoning for being the mutineer, like that, those two episodes established a lot for these characters.
Yeah. But
And it allowed us, when we then joined the Discovery, to really have a big question mark on Lorca. Because we already knew Saru, we already knew Burnham, we knew some of the bridge crew. Like, there were people we were already familiar with, and so he was even more mysterious because we didn't know him from, those 6 months before.
he was mysterious.
Mysterious.
All right.
The last thing I put a note down for was Stamets saying, because every one of these little snippets when he's in jump mode, when he's sailing the mycelium superhighways. He said, "There's a clearing in the forest. That's how they go." No idea what that means.
Well, it's tying in close to the title of the episode.
Close.
What was the title of this episode?
Title of this episode is
something about
not
forest.
that. Our show notes have the wrong title on them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I walk
Through the Valley of the Shadow of Death.
No. Well, that's good. We are doing good with these titles.
Into the Forest I Go.
Yes. Which was a shortened version of the John Moore quote
Mm-hmm.
that
Hey,
I could have pulled up faster had my computer
at
been
least
better.
this week we got to minute 1 hour and 22 minutes, and we finally mentioned the title of the episode. We didn't even mention it last week because it had
Yes.
friggin' Latin in it. So I just
Civis Pacem, what was the?
yeah okay.
Patabellum. Civis Pacem Patabellum. If you want peace, prepare for war.
I don't really know who was doing that last week though. But anyway,
To lose my mind, and I still don't have the full.
What are you trying to do?
Find the full quote.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's the internet. Go look up the full quote.
Google it.
Yeah. Oh, look at the Klingons down there hugging. Isn't that sweet? Oh, well, they're gone. Yeah, we didn't comment on any of the pictures there. That's the captain looking super duper serious.
Yeah, well, he's always super duper serious.
That's early.
He smiled, I think, a grand total of 4 times in this this first half of the season.
There's send me the medical report and I'll be sure to read it.
He
didn't.
Send it to me.
Yeah.
He did not. He will not read this. And into the forest I go to lose my mind and find my soul.
Yay.
But I don't feel like that directly relates to there's a clearing in the forest and that's how they go.
Well, it says the word forest. It's tied right to it. It's like essentially the same thing.
My God.
Wait, what was his quote? There's a clearing in the forest. That's how they go. Oh, he's talking about their path to the other dimension. That's the clearing in the forest. So that they get to the other dimension. And that's how they go. Ooh.
That's how they go.
Who's they?
I don't know.
Do.
So here's the thing.
We're off script again.
I know.
I was just about to say goodbye.
Oh, that's right. We should go say bye.
It's only 11.
One of the questions is, do we think this is actually the mirror universe
That they're in now?
No, that they just. Oh, I mean that they're in now at the end of that episode.
Yes.
Or is this?
Ask me why.
Completely different universe.
Oh, yeah. That is possible.
Yeah, I mean, it would be not as fun because I love when they tie canon together and everyone. But in the original series, like neither Kirk and Spock nor evil Kirk and evil Spock knew of this being a possibility.
Well, yeah, but also no one ever brought up the word spore drive before. So it's very good that everything that the Discovery does is going to be super classified.
True that.
Crap, you were talking and I was trying to let you go and then I forgot what I was about to say.
That's a bummer.
What were you just saying?
In Mirror Universe.
Oh, yeah, no. But it could also be like this could be a third one, and Lorca could be from the Mirror Universe, and we were in the Prime Universe, and they are in a different one, and Tyler's like, damn it, I want to go over here, not over there, and they have to find a way to get Lorca back home and themselves back home so everyone can be where they need to be without a spore drive.
Without a spore drive. That last jump will be like, all right, if we do this, though, it's going to completely destroy the spore drive and vaporize all of the research.
And Stamets' brain.
Oh.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter about the research. Without tardigrade DNA, they're hosed. So if they didn't take enough of that or whatever. But also, I believe that they're in the Mirror Universe because where they showed up to was supposed to be Starbase 46. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's what's left of the ships that were trying to defend Starbase 46 because there was also like a red hue on a lot of the battle damaged things, like their hulls were red, and supposedly like yellow and or red were essential colors on Terran Empire ships.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. Well, we have to wait all the way until January to find out. Probably not very many of these answers.
No, we're totally going to find out. I mean, by the end of the season.
Yes, but I'm saying like
January.
We'll.
I don't know. January should be able to knock out most of it because there's only 6 episodes left.
True. Wow,
and
there's 6 left.
Yeah, and they're starting right at the beginning of January. So we'll know by Valentine's Day, hun. Happy Valentine's Day. It's folk.
It's.
Yes.
Told you.
But yeah, we'll probably do another quick recap thing just before the season starts. in some way, like finding out all the internet hive mind smarts.
A lot of research will be going on,
Yeah.
watching a lot of, Mirror episode, and also probably reading some books.
And also, if we can ever figure out how to stream to YouTube again, we'll be back on the 19th, doing a vodcast about Desperate Hours, the first Star Trek Discovery novel, and we'll just be doing a little brief summary
Join
overview.
us for that, and I think it'll be pretty good. And there's a lot of other a lot of nerdy geeky things to do between now and then.
Yeah, our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to be starting up.
If you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok, I 2 thumbs up. Say go and do that. Oh, it was good.
It was good, but it was just that they tried too hard.
They tried.
All right, this is Star Trek.
Awesome.
All right. Say goodbye, hun.
Goodbye, hun.